Hey gamers, my name is Peter Parker, and before today I thought I was the one and only Spider-Man. Actually, I'm just kidding. I am Maniac with GameAccess.net, and this is Date Night. And tonight we're going to be looking at Into the Spider-Verse by Sony Pictures. This is a Sony Pictures film. It does not take place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It takes place in its own Sony Cinematic Universe, if you will, which is an offshoot of some type of interdimension. I don't know what they're doing right now. I don't even know if Sony knows exactly what they're doing, but basically they're trying to establish their own Sony Spider multiverse. Venom was the first part of that, and from what I've been told, there will be others as time goes on. Excuse me for the... Okay, I guess that's not happening. I was trying to get rid of that glare, but... Okay. Sorry about that. Welcome to Date Night. Again, you'll notice I have no date. I do not know why that is. My girlfriend does not go see movies with me anymore that much. She's been pretty busy, and tonight was an unusual night, so she would have to work in the morning. So it's all right. In the future, again, I'd like to have more people here. I did invite people to go see this film, but of course, nobody I knew was interested in seeing it. I think that Sony Pictures has kind of left a bad taste in certain people's mouths. So, for the most part, intention upon this movie, or I should say, at least amongst my circle of friends and my peers and things like that, I know that belief in this film was pretty much down on the bottom. Nobody thought this picture was going to be any good. Nobody even wanted this picture to be any good. A lot of people and I'll talk about this later on. In fact, this might actually be more interesting than my thoughts about the movie itself. But a lot of people have kind of been hoping that this movie could tank, or that Venom could tank. And I saw Venom. I was going to do a video about this, but I ended up doing the Tales from IT instead. And another Tales from IT is probably coming, so just so you guys know, it'll probably be coming after this. So, I don't know if it's more interesting for me to talk about the film itself or talk about the interest behind this movie. So let me just talk about the movie itself. Now, I have a policy and on this site, and I think that might be why my views are as such, that I'm not talking about spoilers. There will be no spoilers in this film. That having been said, Sony has done a very good job of pretty much spoiling this entire freaking movie from beginning to end. Most of the major good scenes in this film have already been released, and I'm not just talking about the trailer. Sony has pretty much released almost every single scene in this film as like a clip. Now, granted, some of it was cut down, so you're not seeing the whole bit. But pretty much when they did the ending of Venom, that was a whole scene there. This past week, there was a couple of scenes released on iTunes, on the iTunes trailer app, not the iTunes app. And a bunch of other stuff has been released last week on various YouTube channels. Legitimately, not illegitimately. They were promo scenes and things like that. So, as I was watching it, I haven't seen a movie with this many clips released. I haven't gone into a movie seeing so much of it since Daredevil back in 2003. I remember going into Daredevil and pretty much every scene from Daredevil was pretty much already online. Again, legitimately. Not illegally. They were not illegal clips. At that time, 20th Century Fox had released those as teaser scenes and things like that, and they ended up online. Same thing here. After seeing the movie, I would say that was a bad decision on Sony's part. Because you knew the scenes were, if you had seen them, you knew the scenes were coming, and in comparison to some of the other scenes, yeah, there were a couple of bits left out, but I don't know. I kind of felt like there was one or two scenes in particular, the giant leap bit, particularly, was kind of ruined by the fact that I had seen it already. Those are my initial feelings. Let's talk about the movie itself. What is this movie about? Well, the main character of this movie is Miles Morales. For those of you who might have seen Ultimate Spider-Man comics prior, you will know that Miles Morales was the second Spider-Man after the death of Peter Parker in the Ultimate Universe. This is not the Ultimate Universe. This movie is its own universe. It deals with a lot of direct and indirect spider stuff. But, and I don't want to spoil the film, particularly because Sony's done a really good job of doing that itself. So I don't really know how I want to describe the plot line of this film, but needless to say, Miles Morales obtains the spider powers. I don't want to say how. And comes across, over the course of the film, multiple different variations of Spider-Man, some of which we've seen in the comics previously. If you're a Marvel fan or a Spider-Man fan who's familiar with this content, many of these Spider-Men and women will be familiar to you. Many of these heroes and villains will be familiar to you. Possibly the way you remember them, or a whole new twist on them. That's all fine. How do I feel about this movie? I kind of feel about this movie the same way I felt about Venom. And that is that it was better than I expected. It was certainly enjoyable to watch. I didn't see any glaring plot holes, which is more than I could say about a lot of other films that I've seen recently, not including Marvel. I meant like other films. But I didn't see any glaring plot holes or holes that I felt like I didn't see a Spider-Man act differently than a Spider. Again, because this is a multiverse, it kind of has that whole thing is like, yeah, this Spider-Man may not act the way you expected him to. You might come across a Peter Parker or a different Spider-Man that might act differently. So they could get away with that, which is cool. But can I be honest with you? I felt that the depictions of Peter Parker and the different Spider-Man acted exactly as I remember. And maybe that's a testament to the Phil Lord and Chris Miller and everybody who obviously have a love for the source material. There was a lot of name dropping, a lot of good cameos in names. I saw Brian Michael Bendis' name flash across the screen. I saw Steve Ditko's name flash across the screen, at least at one point. Stan Lee, may he rest in peace, had a cameo. So I definitely felt like this was at least a Spider-Man that I could get behind, that I could recognize. I don't want to, again, I feel like I can't spoil the film. I don't want to spoil the film, so I don't want to say much more about the film. Needless to say, if you're interested in seeing it, then go see it. Certainly, it's not a waste of your time to go see. It is an enjoyable spectacle. I saw it in 3D tonight. The 3D effect, for the most part, was kind of flat. However, the majority of the action sequences were in 3D. The one giant leap scene, I'm sure you've seen it on your little smartphone or tablet or something. You have to see that effect in 3D. They did a great job with the 3D effect in that. As well as they did with the finale. The 3D is amazing. So if you have the opportunity to go see 3D, can I be honest with you? I don't even think again, like a common complaint on this date night review is that, oh, my guy who took my tickets did not give me the proper thing that he should have given me. You would think that would include 3D glasses, or at the very least, they wouldn't screw that up. You would think that my local cinema, that gives me that doesn't inform their ticket takers on anything when it comes to promotion or prizes and stuff like that for going to see films, would at least know to give 3D glasses for a 3D film. I had to ask for my 3D glasses. The guy didn't know what the hell I was talking about. It was even written 3D on the ticket. He didn't even look at it. So I have a love-hate relationship with my local cinema right now, in the fact that they're clearly up to date when it comes to most of the technology, with the exception of IMAX. They don't have IMAX technology here, but everything else is pretty much up to date, and their 3D screens are quite good. Top of the line, digital projectors, of course, with the exception of the XD, which is always dim here. But you don't go see a film on XD, you're fine. And it's ticket takers never give you the right stuff. In this case, they almost forgot to give me my freaking 3D glasses. Go figure on that. Cinemark, can you at least train your people to look for 3D on the 3D screens ever? All right, maybe this is just too much for me to think of for ushers, for training for ticket takers or ushers or managers for that matter. Okay, so like I said, if you want to go see the film, I will not tell you not to. Is it the greatest film ever? No. Is it the greatest Spider-Man film ever? Probably not. But what it is? It's good in its own way. And I'll tell you why. One, the animation is absolutely phenomenal. They really did capture the art style of all the different characters. It really did have its own interesting art style. There were some moments that looked choppy. That's intentional. I know that's artistically intentional. Some scenes are pretty smooth. It depends upon what kind of Spider-Man you're looking at and what universe you're looking at or what perspective you're looking at. I really did appreciate that, actually, the traditional animation. These guys, I gotta say, props. This is the first time I think Sony Pictures Animation actually made a good film. So, props there. You could tell that these guys are skilled animators and these guys are talented animators, and they actually were able to finally put their talents to something that was good. So, props there to Sony Pictures Animation. The caveat, of course, is that unfortunately, if this movie does well financially, Sony is going to be empowered probably to screw over Marvel and make their own Spider-Man films and pull Spidey from the MCU. That's the current understanding right now based upon the facts of the matter. Yes, they're currently making a Spider-Man live-action film right now for Marvel, or Marvel's making one for Sony, vice versa, whatever it is. But right now, the current understanding is that if this and Venom do well, that there's going to be a lot more Spider-Man movies, and Sony's going to make them themselves, and they're going to pull Spider-Man from the Marvel Cinematic Universe after the sequel, after the Spider-Man Homecoming sequel is made. I don't want to see that. I do think that Marvel is doing a great job with the Spider-Man films. I am looking forward to Spider-Man Homecoming sequel, Far From Home. But then again, I do think there's room for this. I would like to see a Into the Spider-Verse sequel. You could tell that even though this did deal with multiple different Spider-Men, it was limited into how many Spider-Men that they showed. There was a lot more Spider-Man out there that they didn't show in the film. There was no, and this is not a spoiler, I'm going to tell you what's not in the picture. There was no PS4 Spider-Man, okay? There was no Japanese Spider-Man, Spider-Man. There wasn't that. There were cameos from Spider-Man that you may not expect, and definitely wait until the end of the movie, after the credits, for a little scene involving some Spider-Man that you didn't see in the movie previously. I'm not going to spoil who it is or who they come in contact with, but there is certainly a post-credit scene that will have a few more Spider-Man in there that you didn't see in the main picture. So definitely check that out. Other than the fact that I do think that this movie might be a little bit of more confusing, because my picture, basically the teenagers in the film, the teenagers who went to go see the film had no problem watching it, but a lot of people brought their kids to go see the movie tonight, and the kids had no clue what was going on at all. At all. A couple of them had fathers that knew what was going on, and they tried to explain it to their kids, and that was really distracting. In fact, actually, in a couple of cases where the kid is basically loudly saying, "Who is that guy?" I would actually, again, everybody in that theater was talking, nonstop, especially the kid next to me that was constantly babbling. Who is that? Why is that? Who is that Spider-Man can't do this or whatever. It's like, who? I don't recognize that. And I'm just, eventually even, just to shut the kid up, occasionally I would say, "Oh, that's Spider-Man such and such." So that was frustrating, but I'm not going to hold that against the film, certainly. But, yeah, like I said, my review of the film could be of this. If you want to go see it, don't let me stop you going to see it. Again, I'm not the person that would say, you must absolutely go see this film. I'm not going to do that. Just like how I felt about Venom, if you look at it and you're like, I don't think I want to see this film, nothing I say is going to change your opinion, nor should it. This is a taste is subjective. If you saw the trailer and you thought it looks interesting and you like the character Miles Morales, go see the film. If you think it's not your cup of tea, or if your Spider-Man is a different type of Spider-Man, or you're more interested in something else, then don't go see it. If you want to stick it to Sony and make sure that there's not going to be any more Sony pictures, then don't go see it. Again, that's fine. But if you are interested and you want to go see it, you're not going to be disappointed. You're going to get pretty much what they promised. I do feel like you're going to see pretty much the whole picture that you already saw in the previews and stuff like that, but that's just how it is. Anyways, guys, my name is Maniac, the one true Peter Parker. Till next time, take care. Visit my website, gameaccess.net. Take care, over and out.